What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our Big 12 football channel. All right, we have shown you the 2020 schedule for the Baylor Bears. Now we are going to give you their projected record based off of this schedule, based on their strength of schedule. This is not an official prediction. It's not a prediction of any kind from us. It's simply a projection based on the odds to win each game. Just kind of how I feel about it and what I think Vegas would do with each of these games. So here is the schedule again and the scale that we'll be using. If it's a game where I think Baylor absolutely should win, 20-plus point favorites, that's going to be a 99% game. 80%, it's going to be a game where I think Baylor is going to be favored by double digits. Should win, it's not a guaranteed win, but they should win that game. 60%, a game where they're going to be favored by about a touchdown, 7, 8, 9 points, somewhere in there. And then your 50-50 games are the games where the spread's going to be 4 or less, a close game. So those are the different colors we'll be using, and then of course you got the opposite side of that. 50-50 games will not change at all. They'll be in white. So Incarnate Word is going to be their only 99% game, the only game that they're pretty much guaranteed to win. I mean, it would be the biggest, maybe the biggest upset in the history of college football if they lost that game. So we'll give them the win there. One easy game. I credit them for playing a little bit of a tougher schedule this year. They've had some really soft non-conference schedules in previous years, but they do play Ole Miss. But back to the 80% games now, the games where they're going to be favored by, again, double digits, 10-plus points, but not 20-plus, so 10 to 19, somewhere in there. I've got Kansas and Louisiana Tech. Kansas is a conference game. Louisiana Tech's not a bad Group of 5 team. So those are games where Baylor should absolutely win. It wouldn't be shocking if they were upset, but they should win. Be favored by probably a couple of touchdowns, 14 to 17 points in each of those matchups. So 3 games that we're going to go ahead and consider wins. Now we get into the 60% games, the games, again, where I think they're going to be favored, but not by a whole lot, by about a touchdown, and that's Ole Miss. That game will be, again, in Houston. I would almost put this as a 50-50 game, but just based off of Baylor's success last year, I'm going to go ahead and say they'll be favored in this one. And I am going based off of last year a little bit. I may think Baylor's not going to be very good this year, but we're trying to keep this really, unbiased, keep most of my opinions out of this and just kind of go with what Vegas would do. Texas Tech on the road, again, Baylor's clearly been better than them. TCU, they've clearly been better than them. As a program, or they were last year. West Virginia on the road could be a little bit tricky, but still I think Baylor would be favored. And Kansas State, if that game was on the road, I'd probably go 50-50, but with the game at home, we'll say Baylor. And same thing with TCU. If those two games were on the road, I'd probably go 50-50. But they're at home, so we'll go Baylor at 60%. And then the games where I'm only giving them a 40% chance to win, that's Oklahoma on the road, and that's Texas on the road. So 2 very difficult road games. Maybe the top 2 teams in the Big 12 this season. They play on both on the road, and I think Oklahoma and Texas will be favored in both of those matchups. Again, I expect Texas to be better than they were last season. I don't think Baylor is going to be quite as good, and that's my reasoning for that. And again, we have to go based off of last year a little bit, but we also do want to look ahead as well. So it's kind of a combination of both. It's a fine line when you try to put these projections together. So I'm going to say that because it's on the road, Oklahoma and Texas, they'll be underdogs by about a touchdown. Now we've got 2 50-50 games left on this schedule, Oklahoma State and Iowa State. I think Oklahoma State has a chance to be a top 10 team this year. I've said that many, many times. The game's at home for Baylor, though, and again, you look back at last year, Baylor was the better team last year. I think that's going to be a good game. So I'm going to say Baylor at home has roughly a 50-50 shot to win that one. And then Iowa State on the road, team that should be pretty good this year. That could be a tricky game. So we're going to go 50-50 on that one. The projected record for Baylor based off of all of this comes out to be 8-4. Again, giving them wins in the blue and green games and then averaging everything else out. Projected record comes out to be 8-4. They're going to be favored, I think, against Ole Miss, Texas Tech, TCU, West Virginia, and Kansas State. But the odds would tell you that they're going to lose probably 2 of those games. And they're going to split the Oklahoma State and Iowa State games, and then maybe if you lose Oklahoma and Texas, now all of a sudden you're down to 7-5. So I think 8-4 is probably pretty fair. Maybe they do a little better, get to 9-3. Potential for them to drop to about 7-5. So I think 8-4 is probably a good average, a good middle spot there. And I think that is a pretty good projection for Baylor. We'll see where our prediction comes out. I think it'll be in that ballpark, but maybe it'll be a little bit different. You guys can give me your projection on Baylor down in the comments below. Maybe some of you think they're going to do it again, get back to the Big 12 championship game, win 10 or 11 games again. If you feel that way, let me know why down in the comments below, or maybe you think they're going to drop off and go 6-6 this year. Always like to hear from all of you. Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned for more here on all of the channels at SG1 Sports.